Hello everyone. So sorry I haven't been uploading as much. I'm going through kind of a dark night of the soul kind of phase, but I do plan to upload around once a week. But tonight I just wanted to share a little bit of wisdom that I heard from someone at the meditation group that I go to every Tuesday. So what I heard from him was interesting because it's something that if it rolled off the tongue or if you just read it, it would just sound simple. But for me, it just blew my mind. And this might sound simple to you and it might not hit as hard, but I'm going to share it anyway. So the way he explained it was, if I have friends over here and strangers and maybe even enemies over here, that gap is too far for me. That keeps me away from everyone. I rather just treat everyone as if they are a friend, and then that gap is closed and I'm not apart from everyone else. So I might be adding to his words a little bit, but that's basically what he said. So the reason it blew my mind is that it made me think about all the different things that we put between ourselves and other people, and how we don't assume that somebody might want to talk to us, that somebody might want to be our friend, that somebody is our friend, or has the same views. All the things that we place between ourselves and other people is that space, that buffer that keeps us away from other people, that keeps us from being genuine with people, that keeps us from knowing people and allowing them to know us. And I think that for most of our lives, we go through our lives like this, where we have all of these assumptions, or we imagine ourselves as this package of opinions, of assumptions, and identity. And that then we don't assume that other people will accept this package. That since we are this package, that there's no way everyone is going to accept this package. So we end up staying away from people that could be really good friends. Now, what comes to mind is, what if somebody has very extreme political views or is very violent or something like that? Now, I think approaching this from that direction kind of shows how we keep ourselves away from other people. But let's say somebody is extreme in some regard, or so different, or has some kind of violent view, or has some kind of political view that we just cannot get on board with. I think that treating other people as if they are friends doesn't have to be condoning who they are, doesn't have to be agreeing with them, and doesn't have to be saying that I'm glad that you believe this or that. I think that treating everyone as a friend allows us to at least approach every situation and every person in a way where connections can be made. And if connections can be made, worst case scenario, we might be able to convince somebody away from violence, away from some kind of extreme view that they hold that we don't agree with. And I think that dialogue is the way that we get them away from that. And we don't have to approach situations like that either, but at the very least, a dialogue is open. And if we approach everybody as if they are our friend, that requires a lot of vulnerability. It requires a lot of strength, ironically, because usually when we think of friendliness, we don't think of strength, we don't think of power, we don't think of somebody who is hard and able to take blows. But I think to approach everyone as if they are your friend, it requires a lot of strength, because that means if you get some kind of remark that you don't like, or some kind of comment you don't like, or they embarrass you or something like that. If we're assuming that's going to happen, then that keeps us away from people. But let's say it does happen. Let's say they do embarrass you, they do say some remark that you don't like, that is hurtful to you in some way. It requires the ability to be hit and to keep on going. And to treat somebody as if they are your friend. Let's say that remark did hurt you. You can be honest, you can be vulnerable with that person that it actually did hurt you. And if they can continue, then you can accept the situation that this is no longer your friend. And you can walk away. But don't carry that hurt with you. Don't carry that pain with you. Don't allow that to provide you with a basis, a foundation for further assumptions or assumptions going into other situations. Now, don't go into dangerous situations where, oh, you're my friend, is somebody with a gun that's obviously, or somebody who looks very threatening or does not want you obviously does not want you near them. Don't go into a situation like that. But I think that every normal kind of situation, you can go into it, thinking that other people are your friend, assuming that they are your friend. Instead of all those other assumptions, you can assume that they are your friend. And take the punches, be hard, be strong, and continue on with that attitude. I think that requires a lot of strength. And it's a level of strength that I don't think that most of us have or will develop. We can develop it, but I don't think that we will develop it because we will choose not to. But I think that those of us who, and I'm not including myself in this because I don't think I can approach everybody as if they are my friend. But I think those of us who can, I think that those people will have more friends, will make more connections, and will live more fulfilled lives with people that they vibe with, because we'll find more people that we vibe with, that we can connect with, that we can form those deeper connections with. We will find those people if we give everybody the same shot to be that person for us. I don't think most of us will do that, but I wish more of us would. Because I think that not only would this be a better world, but we'd all be more fulfilled individuals. Because what makes this life worth living? What makes it valuable? What makes it enjoyable? For most of us, not everybody, but for most of us, it's the people that we share it with, whether it be a romantic relationship or a friendship or a family member. But all of these relationships share a similar quality of willingness to connect for various reasons. So if it's a family member, then we might try harder than with somebody who's just some random person. And because we try harder, we're more likely to make those connections. Not with every family member we have, but because we're willing to try harder, because they're our family, we're willing to try harder into making those connections. But if we were willing to accept everybody as our friend and make the effort to make those connections, I think that our lives would be more valuable, because those connections, enjoying life with other people, is what makes it so wonderful. It's what makes it worth living for most of us. Not everybody, but for most of us. And, for much of my life, I burned a lot of bridges. I burned bridge after bridge. I wouldn't say recently, not in recent years, but in many years ago, I'd burn bridges just because somebody did something very small that I didn't like. I was a very egotistical person. And that has left me further in my life with fewer people that I can enjoy life with. Because early on, I burned bridges for really stupid and small reasons. Because I didn't understand back then that I would want people in my life then, now, and going forward. As my life evolves, I want people to be there. I didn't understand that back then. And a few years ago, I started to realize it. It took me till about a few years ago. I'm 33. It took me a long time. But I started to realize that the people we fill our lives with makes our individual lives full. Because those experiences that we share with people, and whether it be just hanging out or sometimes deep conversations or romantic love, all of those things, it's almost like our life is a room, and all of these experiences fill that room up with gold. And we find ourselves surrounded by treasure. The more connections we make, and the more we try to communicate with people, it increases that hoard of treasure. Now, I wouldn't go into, maybe the wealth analogy or the gold analogy isn't the greatest one for going against greed, but you get the idea. These experiences are like gold. And we don't want to live in an empty room of experiences. If we don't have those experiences in that room, if we don't have all that gold, all that treasure, it feels like an empty room. And we don't want our lives to feel that way. So consider very carefully before you burn bridges, because I burned a lot of them that I could have kept, and I didn't take a lot of shots with people that I should have taken. It requires a little bit of bravery. But I think that bravery, working up to that, starts with you valuing those experiences, valuing people. If you value those things, you're more likely to be brave and try to get those things. It starts with a little bit of bravery. But don't consider before you burn bridges, and think about trying to treat everyone you meet as your friend. As this man said tonight, really just made me start thinking about it. Because you want your life to be full. Perhaps you have some issues with communication skills. I suck at communication. It might not seem like it in front of camera. So I'm great in front of camera. There's not any eyes looking at me except that one, and that's not really an eye. But, the reason that I burnt so many bridges and didn't try all my shots is because I had bad communication skills. If you have bad communication skills, just work on it. Try and try again. And if you have some other kind of issue, just try to find a way around it. Because you're going to want those experiences to fill that room, all that treasure. That's not money, that's not stuff, that's not status. Experiences with other people is that treasure that fills the room of your life. That will be your hoard. That will flash before your eyes right before the end. And I talk a lot about death. I talk a lot about magic on this channel. And I've experienced enough, and I think that I know enough. Probably don't know as much as I think I do. But I think that I know enough to know that we don't value the right things most of the time. And we end up, many of us end up in empty rooms at the very end, and we pass with far too few memories because we valued people less and we had too few people in our lives to make experiences with. At any rate, I hope this video was interesting. I hope this was enlightening, I suppose. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up down there. It really helps out the channel. Like this video. And feel free to leave a comment. I read all comments. I try to respond to all comments if I have something to respond with. And share this wherever you like. At any rate, value people, value friendship. Try to treat everyone as your friend. And I hope all of you have a wonderful day.